Today we're going to share about the ISFJ personality type, also known as the defender, through an analysis of Jungian 8 function theory, the influence of the family of origin, and an exploration of its strengths and weaknesses. We'll give you a clear understanding of this personality. Let's start with the Jungian 8 function theory. For ISFJs, their dominant function is say, which stands for introverted sensing. Introverted sensing is all about recalling past experiences and details. It's like having a well-organized library in one's mind. For example, an ISFJ might be able to remember the exact date, time, and place of a childhood event, like a family picnic. They can also remember the taste of the food they had that day, the color of the sky, and the feeling of the grass under their feet. This function helps them build a reliable internal framework based on past experiences. The auxiliary function of ISFJs is FIA, extraverted feeling. Extraverted feeling is about understanding and responding to the emotions of others. ISFJs are extremely attuned to the emotional states of those around them. They can sense when someone is sad, happy, or stressed, even if the person doesn't explicitly say so. For instance, in an office setting, if a colleague is having a bad day, an ISFJ will notice the subtle changes in their body language and tone of voice. They'll then go out of their way to offer support, maybe by bringing them a cup of coffee or having a kind word with them. The tertiary function is T, introverted thinking. Introverted thinking is used by ISFJs to analyze and make sense of the information they've gathered through C and FIA. They'll take the details they've observed and the emotions they've perceived, and then internally evaluate how things work. For example, if they're helping to organize an event, they'll think about the logistics, the budget, and the needs of the participants. They'll analyze whether a particular plan is feasible or not, based on their past experiences and the current situation. The inferior function is NI, extroverted intuition. This function is less developed in ISFJs. Extraverted intuition is about exploring new possibilities and connections. ISFJs may struggle with coming up with out-of-the-box ideas. For example, when brainstorming for a new marketing campaign, they might rely more on tried and true methods rather than thinking of radical new concepts. Now, let's talk about the family of origin and how it shapes the ISFJ personality. Many ISFJs grow up in families where there are clear rules and traditions. Maybe they come from a large, close-knit family where everyone has their roles. For example, in a family where grandparents live with the family, there are set ways of doing things, like how to celebrate holidays. The ISFJ child learns from a young age to follow these traditions and routines. Perhaps the parents of an ISFJ are very nurturing and caring. They teach the child the importance of taking care of others. The child sees their parents constantly helping neighbors, visiting sick relatives, and being involved in community activities. This upbringing instills in the ISFJ a strong sense of responsibility towards others. They learn to put the needs of the family and the community first, which is reflected in their FI function. On the other hand, if the family environment is too strict and traditional, it can also limit the development of the ISFJ's NI function. They may be discouraged from exploring new ideas or taking risks. For example, if a child comes up with a new way to decorate the house for a holiday, but the parents say that the old way is the only correct way, the child may start to suppress their extroverted intuition. Let's move on to the strengths and weaknesses of the ISFJ personality. One of the major strengths of ISFJs is their loyalty. They are incredibly loyal to their friends, family, and colleagues. Once they form a relationship, they'll stand by the other person through thick and thin. For example, if a friend is going through a difficult divorce, an ISFJ will be there to offer emotional support, help with practical matters like moving, and be a constant source of comfort. Another strength is their reliability. ISFJs are the ones you can always count on. They'll show up on time for meetings, complete their tasks to the best of their ability, and keep their promises. In a work environment, if you assign a project to an ISFJ, you can be sure that it will be done thoroughly and on schedule. The third strength is their empathy. As mentioned before, their phi function allows them to understand the emotions of others deeply. They can put themselves in someone else's shoes and offer genuine comfort and support. This makes them excellent caregivers, whether it's taking care of children, the elderly, or sick people. However, one of the weaknesses of ISFJs is that they may have a hard time saying no. Because they're so focused on the needs of others, they often take on more than they can handle. For example, they may agree to volunteer for multiple community events, even though they're already busy with work and family. This can lead to burnout. To overcome this weakness, ISFJs need to learn to set boundaries. They should take the time to evaluate their own capacity before saying yes to others. They can start by saying something like, "I'd love to help, but I'm currently very busy. Let me check my schedule and get back to you." This gives them time to think about whether they can actually take on the task. In conclusion, the ISFJ is like a warm, comforting hearth in a cold world. They are the quiet pillars of strength, offering loyalty, reliability, and empathy to those around them. With their rich internal world based on past experiences and their selfless care for others, they create a safe and nurturing space for everyone. Today we've explored the ISFJ personality type, the defender, through Jungian 8 function theory, the influence of the family of origin, and an analysis of its strengths and weaknesses. I hope this has given you a deeper understanding of this wonderful personality type.